Hello, everyone. Welcome to part two of my DAT 101 series, 2026. My name is Michaela Cagle, and I am one of the pre-dental advisors here in the Pre-Med and Health Science Center. In this session of the webinars, we will discuss how to decide if you're ready to take the exam and the steps that you need to take to ensure that when test day rolls around, you are ready to go. If you did not watch part one, where we did a breakdown of the DAT and of its sections and the scoring, please go and do that now so that you can get the most out of this part two webinar. All right. So the big question that I get from students is, when should I take the DAT? How do I know if I'm ready for the exam? Contrary to popular belief, and if you've ever met with me in an appointment, I've probably told you that there is no one right time to take the exam. You should be using the information that I provided in part one and the information that we are going to go through on the next few slides to determine when your specific right time is to take the exam. All right, looking at some stats. So I just told you that you should take the exam when you are ready. This is why. If you're looking to apply to either of our in-state schools, which most of my students are, these are the stats for their most recently admitted class, aka this is what you should be aiming for. You can see University of Detroit Mercy, their average DAT was a 440, and University of Michigan was a 460. That means to be in a competitive range, you should be aiming for those scores. Why are we looking at these now? Really, I just want you to watch the rest of the webinar from an informed place where you have a clear sense of the performance that you need to meet in order to be a competitive applicant. Things to consider before you register or before you walk in the room and sit down to take this exam. I separated this into two main parts. First, we have objective considerations, and then we have subjective considerations. Objective things are going to be kind of your checklist, right? Your yes, no, this works, this doesn't work. First, on there, we have coursework. If you watch part one, we have really exhausted the topic of coursework at this point. Did you take the classes that you need to learn the content that will be on the exam? In part one, we really went into detail about which prerequisite courses are tested on the exam and how they can impact your score. If you did not take the prerequisite courses, you should not be registering for, nor should you be sitting for the exam. Number two, prep time. Do you have enough time to study? As in, if you need 2 months of content review and then 2 months of timing work, is the exam offered 4 months from now? That's the type of thing that I want you to consider. Number three, application timeline. When do you want to press that submit button? If you are planning to press submit on July 1st, are you going to be taking the exam by June 1st so that you can see the score before you press submit? You should not press submit on your application before seeing your score. That is the philosophy of the Pre-Med and Health Science Center. So considering application timeline before registering for the exam becomes really important since there is no longer that unofficial score release at the testing center, which if you didn't know about that, we also talked about in part one, so make sure you go back and review that. Next, subjective considerations. So these are maybe not the yes, no's, these are more of the gray area when it comes to determining if it's your right time. The first is going to be obligations. Do you actually have time to study? If you're taking 17 credits, you're dental assisting, you're also the president of a student organization, and you're working on volunteering, it might not be realistic to expect yourself to study 10 to 15 hours a week for this exam. Next, academic strengths and weaknesses. Did you take really great notes in all of your prerequisite classes and perform well in them? If so, you might be able to spend a little bit less time on content review and really focus your studying on practice questions, learning the exam itself, and working on your timing. If that's not your situation, you might need to plan for some extra time studying your coursework, right? If you haven't taken chemistry in 2 years, You might need to really focus for a couple of months on reviewing that chemistry content before you walk into the exam. It's important to know those things about yourself before you commit to a plan and before you start studying. Next, learning and study preferences. How are you going to study? What methods have been effective for you in the past? What hasn't worked for you in the past? Do you like having physical books? If you're going to be studying online, are you going to be Googling answers when you don't know them? Maybe recruiting AI for some help. You won't have those things on the actual exam, so we need to prepare in a way where we're focusing on what we know and what we don't know and not giving in to the temptation of outside resources. Do you need to purchase something, a program, a book, whatever it may be? And if so, do you actually have the money to purchase that thing? Do you need to find something that will hold you accountable? Maybe you're creating your own study group. Maybe you're working with a student org to create one. Maybe that's part of the services that you pay for, is that there are mandatory meetings or something of the sort. Your timing and your study methods are just that. They are yours. They belong to you. You need to engage in some honest self-reflection and self-assessment before you just make the decision to take the exam and pay the $500. That's really what's echoed in this little tip down here. Taking the exam should be an intentional decision rooted in honest self-reflection about your preparation, strategies, and goals, not pressure or comparison to others, no matter how hard it may be. All right, am I ready for the DAT? Like I said, number one question that you all are going to ask me. On the last slide, I really broke it down. I said that the decision should require some honest self-assessment. On this slide, I'm including about 10 questions that can guide your self-assessment and include some really great things to consider before you make the decision to move forward. I am begging you, please review and consider these. Pause right now, take a screenshot if you're on your phone, whatever it is that you need. I'm not going to go through all of them, but make sure that you're doing what you need to engage in this self-reflection piece. All right. Another big question I get, should I leave enough time to retake the DAT? Magic 8 Ball says no. What I mean by this is not, oh, Michaela, what if I didn't do as well as I could on the DAT or my score wasn't what I wanted? Does that mean I can never go to dental school and I can never take the exam again? No. I don't want you to think that you don't have the opportunity to take the exam again if you need to. The reason that I don't want you to plan to take the exam again is because I want you to do everything in your power to be successful on this exam the first time. If you are listening to what I've said, if you've learned about the exam, focused on the sections and the timing and the content, and you've really done some self-reflection to create a study plan that works for you, my thought is that you are going to walk in confident and prepared, and you shouldn't have to take that exam again. I want to take the stress off, the financial pressure off of you planning. Oh, it costs almost $600 and I'm going to have to do it twice, so I need $1,200. Let's plan to do it once and only spend $600. Just to reiterate those points, every time you go in and sit for that exam, I want you to feel confident and prepared. I want you to be entering that room knowing that you are ready and that you have done everything you can to be successful. Like I said in the beginning, if this is the case and you do not do well, you can take the exam again. However, I want you to be aware that if this is the case, you might need more than a month or two to reevaluate, re-strategize, and implement a new plan. Because of that fact, the Pre-Med and Health Science Center's philosophy is that if you do not receive a score that you are proud of, you should be pushing back another cycle, waiting another year, and taking that exam after implementing a new study plan when you are ready. If you're going to retake the exam, admissions committees want to see significant growth. You can't necessarily always achieve significant growth in just a month or two. You simply just need more time. If you were to take the exam in January and you didn't do well and you took it again, say in March, and your score stayed the same, that might be a red flag for dental schools, which is why we want you to wait. Cool. Now we're moving on to more of the logistics stuff, right? You did your prereqs, you did some self-assessment, you have started looking into preparation resources, and you have an actionable study plan ready to go. Pre-registration, like I said, you've done some research on available resources, you've made some decisions about what might work for you. Now you have a solid individualized study plan in place and ready to act upon. Also, before you register, you need to make sure that if you are using fee assistance, that application has been submitted and approved. If you don't make sure that it's submitted and approved, and you go ahead and register for the exam and you pay for it, they cannot reimburse that money. You need to have it approved before you pay the first time. Also, choose a testing date that allows for adequate prep time. You should have a testing date in mind before you go and register because you're considering when do I want to press that submit button? When do I need to see my score by? How long do I need to study before all of this happens? Registration. You register through the ADA DAT portal. Payment will be due at the time of registration. That means if you're waiting on a fee waiver, you cannot go ahead and register because you will need to pay when you register. Couple other notes, testing appointments are going to be on a first come, first served basis, and rescheduling or canceling your date involves additional fees and deadlines. All the more reason that you should make sure that you're engaging in that self-reflection and planning before you get to this step. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you're subject to additional fees. Next, fee assistance information. I'm going to quickly go through this because I know it might not apply to everyone, but I want this information to be out there for those who it may apply to. Your fee waiver is not going to cover the entire cost of the exam. It's only going to cover 50%. The waivers themselves are available on a first come, first served basis. If you are watching this soon after it is posted in winter of 2026, the application is open and it opened in January. So you can go ahead and submit if you think you qualify. If you do end up rescheduling, canceling, or whatever it may be, your fee assistance will not cover those fees. If you already registered for the exam, you are no longer eligible for fee assistance. Like I said, they cannot reimburse you. If you think that you might be eligible, is a quick summary of the eligibility requirements, and here are the steps that you can take to request that fee waiver. All right. Finally, just some things to look out for in terms of the actual exam day. Number one, you're taking this exam at a testing center. You're not taking it at your house. You're not taking it at Wayne State. You need to consider distance, travel time, how you're getting there. If you're taking a bus, does the bus get you there? How far do you have to walk after? If you're driving, what will the weather be like? What about traffic? You need to consider all of those things when you're choosing your testing center location. Additionally, I want you to be aware of the policies of the testing center and of the exam itself. For example, you can't bring personal items into the testing room and you are required to have a valid government issued photo ID. Do not be unprepared. If you are, you just don't get to take the exam. Awesome. All right, that is all I have. If you have additional remaining questions or you still don't feel certain, my best advice to you would be go through those self-reflection questions, write down any themes, any of them that are really jumping out to you as being important in your making your decision, and schedule an appointment with either myself or Laura using stars.wayne.edu so that we can have a more in-depth and personal conversation about your situation. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to chatting with you all and meeting with you all soon.